Last night, Nottoway Plantation burned. And like the glutton for punishment that I am, I went to the comments. Now, of course, first and foremost, you have people rejoicing about it, right? And can you blame them, right? It's where their ancestors were tortured, right? Where they had lifetimes, plural, lifetimes of labor stolen from them. And then, of course, you have the people who look like me. Why do they always look like me? Who are screeching about history. And this is all I have to say to you. No, actually I have more, right? Just a little mini rant, right? Like, I'm a historian, right, of slavery. I wrote a book about it, and I can tell you that architectural history is not the history of building materials and things, right? It is the history of the builders. It is the history of the structures and how humans interact with those structures and how the presence of those structures affected the way that humans behave and interact with one another and their surroundings, right? You cannot talk about antebellum architecture as if it's the only, as if it's only like fancy wallpaper that is imported from Europe and Greek columns. Like, it's not. It is the enslaved people who built and sustained it, and the family of rancid racists living inside of it, right? Rancid racists who worked people to death and who sold off their own black children for profit. That is the architectural history of Nottoway. Anyway, that was just the side rant. Now here's the main rant, okay? The third type of comment that I desperately need to talk about, right? Which is the people who also almost always happen to look like me, right? That's why I have to make these videos, because they always look like me, who said that this fire is a great tragedy because the plantation homes remind us of the brutal history of slavery. They asked, would we be happy if Dachau or Auschwitz burned? And it's like, are you kidding me right now? Like, this shit manages to be more egregiously stupid than the second type of comment, right? Do people vacation at or have weddings at Dachau or Auschwitz? Like, they don't, right? They don't, right? People do not vacation at or have weddings at Dachau and Auschwitz, right? Concentration camps, because those places tell the truth of the atrocity that happened there, right? This plantation, it's not at all, right? It's waxing poetically about the European wallpaper, which means it did not preserve history, right? It preserved a fantasy of the past that conveniently strips away some of the most important history of our nation, right? The history of who built this country without compensation and whose ancestors are still paying for all of that. Days of glory. What is it, days of glory? There were no days of glory for this goddamn plantation. Like, I'm sorry. Excuse me for not crying about a fire.